these types of trainings really come into play. Amazing. Appreciate the engagement. Again, this is live, so one of the benefits is we can engage via chat, we can engage via polls. So thanks for having your webcams on. Thanks for engaging with me in the chat, and thanks for answering the poll, because it makes it a much more interactive and enjoyable experience. So to build your agency to 7 figures, multiple 7 figures, even 8 figures, we know there's 3 things we have to put in place. We have to land clients. We have to have a process to land clients on a consistent basis. We have to deliver results in a scalable way. We got to actually deliver what it is that we promised our clients and knock it out of the park for our clients. We've got to retain those clients and put systems and procedures in place to keep them long term. And then we have to scale up, right? In order to scale, we can't do it all ourselves. We got to be able to put the right team in place, put the right systems and procedures in place so that we can have the freedom and really be able to not necessarily do all of it ourselves. And so what we're trying to do with these sessions is get you clear on what those building blocks are and then break them down for you. Because if any of those pillars to your agency, your 7-figure or multiple 7-figure agency, aren't set up and they're not fully built out, you're going to have, an unstable foundation, right? And the business won't generate the money, or it won't generate the consistency, it won't generate the stability that you want. And that's what we're trying to avoid. And so what we know is there's very specific things we can do when landing clients, delivering results, retention, and scale. And in these sessions, we bring you the key insights, the key strategies, the key information that you need in order to make sure you've got a strong foundation. And big picture, there's very specific things we want to put in place that we want to do in order to have our 7-figure agency roadmap and have the 7-figure agency foundation super strong. And I recognize this is very hard to see, so I'm going to share my screen just for a sec here, and hopefully you'll be able to see this visual. That should be it. All right. Give me a yes if you're seeing this. So on other sessions, we've talked about how to fill the funnel. We've talked about how to close the deals. And right now, this month, we're really laser focused on delivering results and retaining the clients that we have, right? And to retain, we've got to have world-class onboarding. We covered that last week. Develop quick wins and strategically come out of the gates quick. Actually, that was last week. It was the other week that we covered the other. This week, we're getting into this results-driven reporting. But just to be clear, this is a very important piece of the overall framework that you want to put in place to build your 7-figure or multiple 7-figure agency. All right. There's something blocking my screen here. Okay. So to retain our clients at the highest level possible, we have to have world-class onboarding. We have to have effective communication, right? How we pulse with the client, how we report to the client. And we got to have a success management process so that as we get beyond 5 clients, 10 clients, 100 clients, we know that the clients are being well served. We know that they're being checked in with, and we've got those KPIs in place. So big picture, this is the client retention formula. Today, we're focused here within effective communication and the reporting side of the equation. And we did put together a simple blueprint for you guys on this, a document that you can download and access. And we're trying to share these. If you want to grab this, just type blueprint into the comments, and that'll trigger our team to send you the client retention blueprint, whether you're watching this live with me right now, or maybe you happen to be seeing it on YouTube or the Facebook group. Drop blueprint into the chat. Okay, good. Wow. Okay. Paul, Emmanuel, Tim, Glenn. Okay, fantastic. You guys want the blueprint? We'll get this into your hands. You can also go to, Justin just dropped the link, 7figureagency.com/results-driven. That'll take you to a page where you can grab this resource. All right, so here's what we're going to cover on today's session. Very specifically, we're going to talk about how to lead with the key performance data that shows the impact, right? Not just the activity, but the actual key performance data. My screen just went black. That's going to be interesting. I'm going to share my screen over here. That's rare. I've never seen it do that before. Somebody's logging in. All right. Key performance data, the most important metrics to share, and communication strategies to make the clients feel heard and valued. Like really, that's what we're going to do on today's call. So if you are ready, type ready into the chat and we're going to get busy. We're going to get right into this. Haley's ready. Jesse, great to see you. Ready. Hudson. Masood. All right. We're ready to rock and roll. So step number one is to understand the client's desired outcomes, right? We think we know what the client wants, and we think some of us think they want to rank better. Some of us think they want more leads. Some of us think they want more online bookings. What do you think the client cares about? Let me know in the chat. When you think about your clients that hire you, what is it that they care about? What are the things that they prioritize? What are their most important outcomes? Let's see. Emmanuel says leads. Forrest, make more money. Masood says leads and conversions. Kelly says money. Do I move the bottom line upward, says Scott. Absolutely. Sales, says Catherine. Brett says return on investment. Jesse says return on investment. Yeah, make sure we're focused on what the client cares about. And what's interesting is it's going to be different for certain clients. Some clients are more focused, whether good, bad, or indifferent. Some of them are more focused on click-through rate. Some of them are more focused on cost per lead, and it's going to be different. So you want to make sure in your onboarding process, you're spending time with the client to say, all right, so we've hired you, we've got this plan, we're going to help you grow the business. What are the goals? Like, where are you right now? What's the goal? As we're implementing these strategies, what are your most important KPIs? What do you care most about? If I could simplify what you see every single time we get together, what exactly would you want to see? And it's important to have those conversations and have that baked into your onboarding process. And so onboarding, is it more about the leads? Is it more about the calls? Is it more about closed deals? Because you could guess and you could engineer what the average outcome is, or you could actually give them exactly what they want, right? Customize your reporting a bit, customize how intense you're reporting. And I'll kind of share two examples of this. Over the years, because at Plumbing and HVAC SEO, we've stubbed our toe more than one times. We've had lots of clients churn and cancel, even though we thought we did a good job. And so one example would be we had this client that we got ranked, we got him lots of leads and sales, and we were reporting analytics, ranking reports. We were, sending him an automatic report that came out of Raven Tools at the time. Like Type Raven, if you remember that platform. I don't even think it's around anymore. But we had all these reports going out, and despite the fact the client definitely had a lot of leads and sales, he canceled. He was like, I'm not seeing the results, right? And in that case, I really think if we had just simplified the reporting and said, here's how much you spent, here's how much revenue you got, are you happy? Yes? Okay, cool. He would have stayed because he would have connected that dot in his head. But I'll share another example. A slightly larger HVAC company we were working with for quite some time. We tried to just do that. Like, hey, you know what? Here's just the data, right? Here's how much you spent. Here's how many leads you got. Here's your average return on investment. And they canceled. And the reason they cancel, I believe, and you never know 100%. You get on the call with the client, you try and retrospectively figure out what went wrong. I believe they wanted to be more detailed. They had put an operations or marketing manager in place that was meeting with our account management team. And that marketing director, yes, they were happy to see that we thought there was a return on investment, but they wanted us to be able to show the ranking data. They wanted us to be able to show the analytics. They wanted us to be able to list out all of the deliverables and the things we did to make that outcome a reality. They needed us to give the raw materials that they could then take to their boss, and they could justify their position within the organization. And so I'm not saying just make your reporting basic, right? Just make it 2 or 3 data points. I'm saying you have to recognize where your client is at, what they're looking for, and maybe sway them in the direction that's going to make most financial sense for them as they grow, but also recognize you're going to be dealing with different personality types, right? There's the type D, like me potentially. I don't care about all the data. I just want you to tell me, how much return on investment is there? And are you doing a good job? Yes, great. But then there's also more like SC type personality types, more fact find type personalities that want to know the why. They need to have the data. So the important thing on step one is to understand what your client truly wants, what they expect, and make sure that you're matching that with them. Jesse says, totally agree. Have to ask the client what they expect and what they prefer. Scott says, match the granularity to the level of your prospects, your contact at the company. Hudson says, clicks, calls, spend, ROI, cost per conversion, right? So always connect your outcomes to their desired results, right? That's the key thing in step one. With that said, I think that the underlying most important thing that you can report to your client, regardless of if they're super technical or not, is the strategic KPIs and what they should really care about, right? As they hire you as their agency of choice and to do their online marketing, what they should really be caring about is not how many links you got, not how many activities you did on their site, not how many pieces of content. All they should really care about is how much did I spend? How many leads did I generate? Is there a return on investment? Are you guys generating growth and a return on investment? And so while you want to have more broad-based reporting available for the more technical customer, you need to be able to say what was spent, how many leads were generated, what the average cost per lead is. Because most of your clients don't care about the technical mumbo jumbo, right? Think about the fact that you're delivering the outcome, not all of the activity, right? Your results-oriented service offering. And so they don't care about the average cost per click. They don't care about the click-through rate. They don't care about the hundreds of keywords that they rank for the most part. They recognize certain clients do. Number two is we want to highlight the metrics that actually showcase ROI. And this is important because our company name is called Plumbing and HVAC SEO. We started as an SEO company. And like we would say at the beginning, here's the 100 keywords we're focused on. And we would, put that ranking report into Bright Local at the time, still run Bright Local reports. And we would show, okay, number 1, number 5, number 17, not on the first page, not on the third page. And because that's what we sold and because that's what we showed, they started to vex on those details, right? And we would spend 30 minutes or an hour looking at the ranking report, hitting refresh. Oh, let's get into the details. And that's not a metric that really matters. Who cares if you rank number 1 for 100 keywords if that's not generating leads, if that's not generating sales? And let's not waste our time with smokes and mirrors data for our clients. So when it comes to this, track the metrics alongside the data like rankings and spend. Break down how the leads translate into revenue on an average conversion basis. And I'll talk about how to do this a little bit. And then use visuals like graphs and tables to make it easy for them to understand. So they're not trying to pull together 6 different things, but they can look at one page and see exactly what the outcome is. And so I'll show you our reporting. We do this inside NinjaCat today. This can also be done in Data Studio. I've seen some people do something kind of similar with Agency Analytics with a lot of customization. But let me just share the screen here because I think it's going to be hard for you to see it back here. And we can look at the specifics of what we report today. And this is for most of our clients. And again, we work with about 195 plumbing and HVAC clients. We do about $7 million per year. In our world, with the clients that we serve, this reporting gets the 80-20, right? 80% of our clients are super happy with it. And there's like 20% that want to go deeper and want more details. So inside NinjaCat, our client can log in and they can see a report that looks like this. And they can see this month, how much did we spend, right? In this case, this is Nixco. They spent $5,671. That's going to be our management fee combined with any ad spend. So if it was like local service ads, Google ads, Facebook ads, you would want to combine that so they can see what was the total investment that they made in online marketing. And then how many leads did they get, right? Very simply, this is aggregating all of our tracked phone calls, all of our web submissions, and then all of our online bookings, right? So they can see, okay, 503 leads, $5,671 in investment, and an average cost per lead of $11.27. This is the most simple math in the world, but most of us don't boil it down to this level for our clients. Literally, we're just taking 5,671, dividing it by 503 leads. That's an average of $11.27 per lead, right? And then we show them where the leads came from. Like, so this one's came from organic, these ones came from pay-per-click, these ones came directly from Google Maps, and these ones were your web forms that were submitted on the site. Gives you a total of 503. When we got our reporting to this place where they could easily see this, our churn dropped, the amount of questions we were getting dropped because we simplified connecting the dots for the prospect or for the client on how much they were getting, right? And I'll talk about this next piece about the actual return on investment here because, that helps for the more technical, like, well, but yeah, I don't know, like, did those 503 really generate return on investment? Were they even qualified leads? These are conversations that come up, but give me a yes if you feel like someone like Nick Sco Plumbing would look at this and be like, yeah, cool. Yeah, 503 leads on 5,600 spend. I'm winning, right? This is really good. Manny says, is this real? Yeah, this is definitely real. Let's see. Question. Have you ever tried to do this on high level as a dashboard? Is it not capable of doing it? I'm trying to figure out that software, what software we really need. Rock says, me too. Also, Upex, Playa. My next slide shows you how you could theoretically do it in high level. Easier said than done, right? And so we're still using NinjaCat, very expensive platform, costs over $1,000 per month to start and scales up from there. I just got off a meeting literally with Chris Pistorius from Kickstart Dental, who basically has done this exact same type of thing using a database, like collects the data, a Google Sheet, and Google Looker Studio, right? We'll talk about some of the tech stacks and how you can set this up. You can do this a lot of different ways. What I really want to emphasize is the strategy here. Big picture, you could show them 1 million data points, but really, if you can show them these 3 data points, how much did I spend? How many leads did I get? What's my average cost per lead? You're going to be in the majority in terms of being a really good agency that's showing them what they want to see. I'm seeing questions come in, so I want to make sure I look at these. How do you combat the responses? I see the numbers, but don't feel like we're busier. So that's a great question, Scott. So in this case, we generated 500 phone calls, raw phone calls. How many of those converted into sales? I don't know, right? How many of those were actually answered? How many of them were spam? How many of them were garbage? If that's a consistent issue, you're going to have to roll up your sleeves and look at the data, right? You're going to have to listen to those calls or use AI to listen to those calls and then rate the outcomes. What we do today, just in full transparency, all of our calls come in through CallRail, and CallRail, what converts, high level's got call tracking as well, but all of our calls come into CallRail, and we've got a team of virtual assistants that during the night listen to the calls for all the clients, and they just quickly rate the outcome. Was it answered? Was it a qualified leads or solicitation? And so we can tell them, look, out of those 503, there were actually 400 legitimate opportunities at play, and 22 of them you didn't answer, right? And we can actually drill down to that level. But if Scott, they're saying, hey, I'm glad you got me 500 leads, I didn't convert, there's probably a coaching opportunity there. Hey, I noticed you're not answering your calls. You either need to hire someone that can answer the calls, or you need to go to a third-party call center, or maybe, hey, this might be an opportunity for us to put AI voice answering in place. One of the quick wins we talked about last week, it might be an opportunity to put that in place for you. At least you've got an AI that's answering the calls and trying to schedule and following up on your opportunities. So hopefully that answers the question. There's going to be cases where you feel like you crushed it, but they're not making any money on the back end. And back in the day as an agency, what we would say was, hey, our job is to make the phone ring. Your job is to convert. And if you can't do that, that's on you. Well, in today's market, you're going to have to roll up your sleeves. You're going to have to start listening to those calls and helping to solve that problem, because if they can't convert the leads into sales, eventually they're going to cancel, right? Because they're not getting a return on the investment. So good questions, Scott. I'm glad you answered that. And sounds like Brad had the same pain, right? This is your chance to go a little bit deeper with that client, go a little bit deeper with those leads. If you find out that all 500 of them are actually garbage leads, that's a problem, right? There's something either wrong with the type of lead that you're generating or problem with the way that you're setting things up. Ryan Hurst, are you converting the 503 leads into sales opportunities, or do you leave that up to the client? What is the conversion to estimates? Good questions. I'll talk about that in a second. Is there a drill down report that comes in? Yes, I'll talk about that in a minute. Part of the process for monthly calls clients involves asking which should they convert? Yeah. So depending upon your volume, and in our world, plumbing and HVAC, we're a high volume industry. Like they literally get lots and lots of calls, right? And to try and resolution every single call with them manually marking the outcomes isn't effective. And so we've got some technology today that actually syncs the leads with their dispatch platform, so they don't have to manually tell us what happened. But for some of you guys, that dispatch platform doesn't exist, and you can do it all in high level. Or you can actually say, hey, we generated these 12 legitimate opportunities. How many of them went to estimate? How many of them went to sale? And you can manually close the loop. But if you're in the hundreds or thousands of leads per month for every client, that's going to be a little bit of a challenge. See, Brandon, if your agency is the one that points out the company issue, you're adding value. Exactly. Yes. So for those of you that are noticing there's an issue where they're saying they can't convert the leads and there's a problem, that's your opportunity to step up as a growth partner. Jesse, do you ever try to fully integrate their back-end software, financial software to get the revenue system? Yes, absolutely. I'll talk about that a little bit. That's a little bit more advanced, but that's the gold standard. We should all be thinking about how we connect to their dispatch platform or to their revenue generation platform to connect the dots and not have to project or guess. So type clear if you feel clear. Like you can report 1 million metrics, but if we can get down to how much did you spend, how many leads did you generate, what's your average cost per lead, you're going to be well ahead of the game, right? And the client's going to feel pretty confident, pretty happy with the value that you're bringing to the table. The other way to do this, and again, I think this works better on a lower volume opportunity, is to ring everything into a pipeline inside high level, and on a monthly basis, be able to have your dashboard in high level set up that every single lead, every single web form submission drops on a pipeline, and ideally, they're moving those opportunities from lead to book job to one and assigning a revenue on the back end of it. And I know a number of agencies that have done this in a high level that have gotten that completely squared away. We've just found with the volume we do, our clients, they don't want to use high level, right? And so we're trying to do it all from the outside. And they've all got a platform that they use as their main revenue generation platform. And in home services, it's ServiceTitan, it's House Call Pro, it's those types of platforms. And whatever niche you happen to be in, you should know what those platforms are. You should familiarize yourself with those platforms, and you should be trying to figure out how can you integrate either through Zapier, if it exists, or through their APIs to eliminate friction and to connect those dots on the back end. All right, clear, crystal clear, says Scott. Okay, good. So we're going to simplify the data. We're going to try and make it as clear as possible for them. What's actually happening, and is there a return on investment? Is there lead flow? The next thing is you want to communicate progress regularly. A big mistake I see agencies make, and that even we made in plumbing and HVAC SEO, is just to think that they're getting the leads, and so obviously they're making money, right? And so they should be good. The other thing is to have an automatic report that goes out and be like, hey, that message went out and told you how many leads you got, how much sales you got. Isn't that enough? And it usually isn't, because if you've got a dashboard, they're probably not logging in and looking at it. If you're sending a report, they're probably not seeing it or even paying any attention to what they received. And so part of your responsibility as the agency is to set a time with the client and have a meaningful conversation, right? That should be you or one of your account managers. Ideally, eventually you got an account management team, and they're doing this, and they've got every client on a list, and they're making sure we're checking in with every single client, and we're showing them, hey, here's what happened last month. Here's what we're seeing in the reporting. Here's the key things we worked on. Here's what we're working on next. Here's what we need from you, right? If you're pulsing with your client on a monthly basis and having those conversations and making sure they understand the reporting, they understand the results that you've generated, that's going to go a long way towards retention. Now, I just want to hear, like, let me know in the comments here, what percentage, for those of you that do meet with your clients, or at least attempt to meet with your clients, what percentage meet with you every single month, right? Even if you reached out assertively, what percentage of them meet with you every single month? Let me know in the comments. And maybe if you got 5 clients, it's 100%. For some of you, it's less. All right, so let's see. All right. Brad says 60%. Alexandria says 50. Chris, nice job. 90%, I would imagine. Maybe you got a small client base. Jamie says 95. Andrew says 25, 80-ish, 70-ish. Okay. At scale, what we found, at least in the type of clients we work with, only about 60% of our clients will meet with us for these monthly review calls. Despite us sending an email, despite us scheduling it after the last call, despite us sending text message reminders that we want to connect with them. And for a long time, we thought that, hey, we tried to reach out, they weren't available, we'll catch them next month. That's good enough. And it really isn't, right? Because if they don't hear from you and they don't meet with you for month 1, month 2, month 3, eventually you're going to get the cancellation notice. And so what you want to do is, for those clients that don't meet with you or won't make the time to meet with you every single month, have a process where you record a quick Loom video, right? And a Loom is just a little applet. I think all of you guys probably use this. Type Loom in the comments if you use Loom to do screen recording type videos. But either you or your team, every month, you've tried to connect with them to have that meeting to go through the results. And if they don't meet, you record a quick Loom video. Hey, Bob, I know you're busy. No worries at all. Tried to reach out to you a couple times. Just wanted to show you what we're up to, kind of review some of the reporting with you, and let you know what we're going to be working on over the next 30 to 60 days. And you pull up the report. Hey, look, check it out. This is how many leads we got. This is up versus last month. Really excited to see some ranking data. We've moved up for these keywords. Here's some things we worked on based on the last time we chatted. Here's where we're headed over the next 60 to 90 days. I know you're busy. Would love to hop on a call to talk through this with you. But it's looking really good, and here's what we're working on next, right? When we started doing that and tracking that activity for our account management team, retention improved, because not everybody wants to meet. This is called asynchronous communication. So one-to-one communication is, we're going to get on Zoom, I'm going to see you, you're going to see me, we're going to go through the report, we're going to have conversation. One-to-one communication is very strong, right? That way they heard it and they connected with it. Asynchronous communication is, I'm going to send you a Loom video, and when you have a chance, you're going to watch it. And then if you've got follow-up questions, you'll probably send me a reply, or you'll shoot me a Loom video back, and we'll be able to still communicate, but just on a time scale that works for you and me whenever's convenient. And I want you to recognize that a lot of your clients, given the chance, would prefer asynchronous communication. And so use both. Like, I'm not saying just to do the Loom video thing, because if you're charging $3,000 to $5,000 per month, a lot of them will want to meet with you. And that's part of the value that they extract from the relationship that they have with your company, but offer them the opportunity to communicate with you asynchronously. Just put an A in the comments if that makes sense, or type Loom if you can add that to part of your follow-up process, where you're going to, at least shoot a video at the end of every single month. Loom, A, fantastic. I love to see that. So as you do this process, there's 2 things from a client retention perspective I'm going to recommend you put in place. Number 1 would be a traffic light system. So if you've got 10 clients or 50 clients, you list out all of your clients. And basically they would fall into 1 of 3 categories: red, yellow, or green. Green being happy client, seems like they're doing good, all the metrics look great. Yellow, could go either way. Maybe something's not looking good with the reporting, or they said something that made you feel like maybe they're unhappy. And red, these are like really bad performing accounts, or they've just said something that told you like, hey, look, we're looking at other agencies and we're really unhappy right now. Having a dashboard like that where you can quickly see all of your clients and where they sit on that spectrum will help you address the need, right? And help you deal with clients. The other thing I would really encourage you to have in place with that entire list of your clients, every single month, you should be doing a monthly touches tracking sheet. And so literally you just got all your clients, and if you send them an email, would be a touch. If you meet with them live one-to-one, that would be a touch. And then, if you sent them a Loom video because they weren't available, that would be a touch. I find that if you don't track that and you don't have a tracking sheet for it, either you or your account management team start to fall off. Like maybe we didn't meet with this client. I don't remember when we last met with this client. I can look any given month and know exactly the last time my account management team met with any of our clients and that they're doing their job, right? That every client's getting touched and every client is sending a report. And so I would encourage you, like as you communicate, right? As you communicate with your client base, track that. Put a overriding tracking mechanism in place. Can you put track into the chat if you can do that? And if you need a tracking sheet example, I'll load up a screenshot for you. Let's see. Should the owner be doing that or the account manager? Manny, please let that be your account management team, right? And this is a scale conversation. If you don't have an account management team, it's you, right? Somebody has to do it. But ideally, you want to create freedom, and you don't want to be the person checking in with the clients every month and shooting these Loom videos. And that's why you put an account management team in place, right? And you've got an account manager that handles 30 to 50 accounts and their responsibilities to do these monthly review calls and to answer questions and to record the Loom videos. The tracking mechanism would be managed by them, but overseen by you or the account management director. Evan says, our agency has sent Loom recaps in the past when we don't hear back about connecting to go over results. But we found that people begin to expect the video and we're less inclined to meet. We obviously prefer to be able to meet with them to discuss the results directly. I mean, you got to decide, I still think it's better that they got a Loom video at the end of the month saying, hey, I'm sorry we couldn't connect. And it's going to be short, right? Then just say, hey, well, we didn't meet and I don't want you to get accustomed to videos. So I'm not going to send you anything. So you have to decide your battles. And I think in that case, you're going to be okay. Is there someone who can set up agency analytics for us to reflect this in NinjaCat reporting? I'm sure there is. I don't have a connection for you on that. But I have seen examples of people that did something similar. You could take a screenshot of what I showed you and try and find a contractor that can pull it in. I also know people that actually just manually, because they don't have a lot of clients, they've got 10, 15 clients, they manually just go into image blocks and they enter the numbers, or they have a VA enter the numbers. When you're small, that's acceptable, right? But when you're at scale, you're going to want to use automations and automated platforms that can bring that into reality for you. Okay, so what I would say on your monthly review call with your clients, a couple things you want to make sure of. Lead with performance metrics, right? Lead with how much you spent, how many leads, how much return on investment. That's what they're going to care about most. Talk a little bit about what you've worked on. Talk about what's coming next. You got to always be seeing the vision. If they feel like you've done your service and you're not innovating, you're not talking about what's coming next, they'll feel like they've run out of future with you and your agency, and they will go somewhere else. So you got to incorporate that into it. And I would suggest that you or your team have those other reporting platforms ready, right? The ranking report, the analytics, the click-through rate data, all the fun tools that you might use with all of the data. Have that ready in case the client wants to drill down, in case the marketing director asks a question where you're not like, well, I need to give me some time, I'll get back to you. Be prepared to go deep into the data for that client, but just lead with this, right? And ask if that's okay and if they're happy with what they're seeing. Evan says, better to send them something than not at all. Yeah, exactly. Number 4, use strategic reporting tools. Lots of great tools and platforms for this. I'll talk about some of the platforms that we use. I'll talk about some of the platforms I've seen other agencies use. A million ways to skin the cat. But use templates to create consistency and ease. If you're manually still creating a bunch of reports, that's not a great efficiency, and you're gonna wind up getting frustrated once you get too many clients. Leverage automations that can pull in analytics, ad platforms, CRM dashboards, customize reports so that you can highlight the most important results. Even a simple dashboard that shows how many leads, average cost per lead, total spend, leaves some level of interpretation to the client. And so if you can give them the Cliff Notes version with a little bit of text, with a little bit of an explainer, especially in your automated reporting, that's going to help, kind of connect the dots for the clients. So recommended tools, and this is constantly changing. It's going to differ if you're in startup versus Titan status, what you use. But we use NinjaCat.io. It gives us the ability to pull in Google Ads data, Facebook Ads data, Google Sheet. I got like a Google Sheet with all of the key metrics that I want to pull in, and we can have a quick conversation about how that works. Or Looker Studio. The beauty of Looker Studio is if you can figure out how to pull the data together, you can figure out how to set up your reports. You've got a lot of customization. You've got a lot of flexibility, and the cost is significantly less. The starting point for NinjaCat, I think, is $12,000 per year. Looker Studio is free. One of the cool things I just discovered, I was just on a meeting with one of our Titans, and he was kind of showing how he's replicated our NinjaCat reporting in Looker Studio, is that the issue with Looker Studio is it's a little bit slow. And if you're going to try and pull Google Ads data and Facebook Ads data and a Google Sheet, and you're going to divide certain columns to figure out average cost per lead, average conversion rate, you can have that displayed to the client, and it's trying to run those calculations in the back end, and it's very slow loading. However, if you push the data from whatever your reporting platform is, CallRail, Facebook Ads, Google Ads, local service ads, into a central database that stores that data, and then you let that data feed into Looker Studio, you can eliminate the speed issue that you might be having. Lower cost options that are just kind of straight out of the box that you can plug in would be like Agency Analytics. I'm trying to think other tools that I've seen people use that are similar. Agency Analytics is probably the closest that can bring that into reality. Brandon says, could you do make.com and to Sheet and then Looker Studio to pull the data into Sheet? You could. There's going to be reasons that that's not the ultimate solution, but you could definitely do that, and it will get you a long ways down the track. The other tools we use from a reporting perspective, again, I'm not saying you should use all these tools. I'm just saying these are the ones we use. Obviously, Google Analytics, right? You set up Google Tag Manager, put it on the client site, put the Google Analytics code. That way you can really track all of the data that Google Analytics tracks. Search Atlas is kind of our go-to SEO platform today that we use for a lot of things, but we have one centralized place for the GeoGrid ranking reports, for certain ranking report data. I still like Bright Local for specific keyword ranking, so we still use Bright Local for that. Ahrefs, Local Falcon, Lead Snap, PPC specific tools. We like Optimizer, great tool for that. If you've got a favorite tool that you use today, let me know in the chat, and then we can all compare notes, because I think that's cool to see what everybody's using. But today it's mainly NinjaCat, Google Analytics, Search Atlas, and Bright Local. Those are the main tools that we use day in and day out. SEMrush, yeah, SEMrush, it seems like a couple of people are saying, very good. And then number 5 is we got to bridge the gap between the data and the results, right? And this is a function of, well, if we know that we generate 501 leads, we have 2 options. We can either listen to the calls and make a guess. We can put it onto a pipeline and ask them to complete it. We can sync with their dispatch platform, which would be the gold standard, or we can do some projection-based return on investment data. And so I'm just going to show you how we do this in ours, and hopefully this helps kind of get your creative juices flowing, how you could do similar. All right. So for ROI-based calculation, really what we need to know is what's their average conversion rate from a lead to a book job or to revenue? Like, what's the average conversion rate? And then we need to know what's their average transaction value, right? With those 2 data points, combined with what their spend is, you can multiply and divide and be able to make some projections based on benchmark data, right? And so this is like kind of out of the box what we give all of our clients. They're able to tell us and dictate, hey, my average conversion rate is 85%, and my average transaction value is $450. And that sits on a Google Sheet, right? It's literally just a column on a Google Sheet. And then NinjaCat does the adding, the multiplication automatically based on the total lead data. And so again, you could do very similar in a lot of different things, specifically Looker Studio today. But this is the way it looks for us. So in this case, 503 leads, about an 85% average from lead to actual qualified lead. So, and we tell them, look, like we've got 195 plumbing HVAC clients. A lot of them use ServiceTitan or they use Housecall Pro, and we're looking at the actual conversion data. So this is our averages. Does this sound right to you at the beginning? And they'll say yes, no, maybe, and we'll match to what they feel most comfortable with. So in this case, you should have had 428 qualified leads. And what percentage of those qualified leads actually get booked? That's another 85%, right? Which is 363 booked jobs. And then what percentage do you have in the field? When the technician goes into the house, in our case, what percentage of the technicians actually convert that visit into revenue, right? This was iterated over a decade, right? Of like hearing from the client, oh, but what about this? What about that? Oh, this doesn't. In our case, these are the numbers, 85, 85, 75. So then 363 qualified book leads at a 75% conversion rate is 273 closed jobs. 273 closed jobs at an average transaction value of $450 is $122,000 in revenue, right? So they can easily do this math and be like, okay, I should have generated $122K. Now, are they going to check their revenue and be like, hey, wait, this makes sense, or hey, this is right or wrong? Absolutely, right? And if it's way off, then we got to look closer at the lead volume. We're going to look closer at the lead data, but usually it's pretty close. And so their investment here in this case was $2,340 in our service fees, $3,331 in Google ad spend. So they spent that amount divided by their $122,000 in revenue. That's a 21-time return on investment, right? This is how we bridge the gap between how much did I spend, how many leads did I generate, and is there a true, tangible, measurable return on investment? So I know that this, there's some complexity to this, but just put a $sign in the comments if like you see how you could arrive at this and automate this type of reporting for your clients. Just put a $sign in the comments if, first of all, you think that you could do it. Second of all, you think that your clients would value this and be like, okay, great. Now I see how I'm getting return on investment. I see why this makes financial sense. I see that you guys are providing great service and I'm getting a return on my investment. Awesome. I'm seeing lots of $signs posted. Again, I mean, this has been arrived at over a decade of trial, error, talking to clients, getting feedback. But ultimately, in this case, what we have is a spreadsheet that's got all the clients. It's got their management fee with us, and then it's got their average conversion rate, these three different conversion rates that are variable, and then their average transaction value, right? We've got all of those different pieces, and then we can pull this into Data Studio, or in this case, into NinjaCat, and we set up a dashboard that has these boxes ready to automatically configure and calculate this information. First, you got to figure out how you would calculate it on a spreadsheet. Then you figure out how you could calculate it, one by one. And then you figure out how you can calculate it automatically at scale. There is a guide. It's not going to get into the granular details on how to set this up. But Justin Littles, if you could drop the link for the big picture guide. Hudson says, dude, Josh is the GOAT. Amazing. Thank you. Hopefully this is valuable. This is something I typically only share with our members, but wanted to make sure that you guys had access to this thinking. That way you can apply it. Because the famous quote is, half my advertising is wasted. The trouble is, I don't know which half, right? And this ROI projection gives them a little guesstimate on this. The best case scenario, though, is if you're in dentistry and they use Dentrix as their dispatch platform, you're taking a feed from Dentrix and you're matching either the cell phone number or the lead number to the actual patient, right? And then you could say, this patient came in, this patient generated revenue. In the case of home services, Housecall Pro, ServiceTitan are the main ones, and we've got platforms that can integrate with that so that we can match our lead data and give them true tangible return on investment. So You've got the guide. A couple of you guys have asked. If you go to sevenfigureagents.com/results-driven, there you can download the guide. It gives you the big picture, data on how this works.